Welcome, acolytes. Today I am reacting to Count to Electric Boogaloo. Joy Lot doesn't understand cancel culture. Now what I heard from it is about basically a comedian thing. And why something is fun and why it isn't or it shouldn't be by basically this guy. Now, as for all of those who know my actual, like, what I think about it. But at the end of the day, I think you can do basically every joke you can speak, or you can tell any joke you want, but you have to do it really, really tasteful. It depends on the basically how bad the joke is or about what exactly. But I would say most of the themes aren't even a stick for me. It's purely just do the jokes you want, but do it tastefully. Don't overtake it, because just saying that you're retarded isn't a joke. But if you actually work around it, do things, and that's blah blah blah, you can make it very tasteful and very funny, even for those that are actually part of it, that are basically, well, from the group you're targeting. But let's see what Count has to say exactly, because as I said, I didn't see it, I just heard of it from a friend of mine. So let's just start. By the way, if you like my content, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, press the notification button, and show the same amount of love to Count Dankula. Thank you.
Joe Lycett is so wrong about cancel culture. Now, Joe Lycett is a funny comedian. I do like him. He is a standard, mainstream comedian, though, where, 80% of his stuff is, Tories, am I right, and everything, but he is still quite a funny comedian. However, he's made some comments on cancel culture, and they're some of the dumbest that I've...
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I know this guy, basically, but I don't find him that funny. Like, you can actually say what you want, but I don't find him that funny, because he basically repeats a lot of the jokes again and again and again and again. But I also didn't see everything what he has to offer, so I could be wrong about it. I could still change my mind. But from the moment from now, I don't particularly like him. I don't find it that funny. So I guess that's a disagreement right now.
I've ever heard. I mean, it's obviously okay for him because he's a safe comedian. He doesn't actually joke about any sensitive topics or anything like that. He's a very status quo comedian. He jokes about the things that are safe to joke about. In other words, the state approved things that aren't going to get him into a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Basically, those are way better words than I found. And yes, it is basically that and boring to me.
Oh, he's a good little statey boy, is what he is. He does what he's told. For every comedian who is publicly cancelled, 100 more are quietly censoring themselves. Because, again, one of the things that loads of comedians, especially ones that are just starting out, are very, very worried about is if they make the wrong joke in front of the wrong person, boom, that's the career dead.
Yeah, that's a gigantic problem, to be honest. It is it's not even fun. It's like being quiet just because you could have someone that pretends to be actually a part of the group that you're just joking about and has actually no matter to say, and the freaking and this person actually gets a lot to say about you, like the person that actually is just enraged about the thing you said and not really even a part of the thing you said. This is just such bullshit. Nobody likes those people, but the generation right now is just full of those people, and for some reason they respect it. How the F did we get here? Well, sorry about it, I rambled again.
Immediately, and you've got a million people screaming at you on Twitter over that awful thing you said. In an interview last week with the disingenuously named Lad Bible, stand-up comic Joe Lycett answered a series of questions sent in by viewers. One of them concerned cancel culture and whether it has had an effect on comedy. As someone who is in the nice comedy sphere, not the usual, not the losers, not the losers, I'm with the fun ones. Yes, it absolutely has. A lot of new, especially guys that are just starting out, are very nervous about it. And even if they write a fucking banger joke, absolutely banger joke, they'll go, no, and remove it for their set because they're worried about getting into trouble.
Yeah, that's sad. That's very sad. Oh my god. Yeah, and this is, by the way, true, but now I'm just sad about it.
I think that people are more thoughtful about what they write jokes about, he said. Oh, yeah, because that's what you want. Oh, I'm doing comedy. I don't want to annoy anyone. Oh, I might ruffle some feathers with my jokes. Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah, yeah, I may ruffle some feathers. This is what comedy about. What comedy is about, for fuck's sake. Comedy is ruffling some feathers sometimes.
It's kind of comedy. The safe comedy that everyone's like, with their best middle class laugh. Those are the best ones. Carefully, there are jokes I've done in the past that I wouldn't do now. Pussy, I would do Nazi pug again. If it wasn't a dead joke, I would do it again. And I think that's a good thing, he added. Ah, yeah. Isn't it great when loads and loads of jokes, like, isn't it great when whole sections of an art form aren't allowed anymore? Isn't that wonderful? Yeah. That's great.
Of course it's good for him. The guy has boring jokes. The less competition he has, actual competition that could be competition, the better for him. Of course he likes the status quo now. He's on their side.
If there's one thing that art needs, it's controlled. That's what it definitely needs. He added, it has probably made life difficult for people who just want to do lazy material. No, it's quite... Do you know how hard it is being racist? I had hair when I started. It's difficult being racist. Stressful. So stressful being racist. But I strive and I survive. I hold down, I stick to my guns. Who just want to do lazy material. I love how everybody... Lazy material, what, 80% of jokes are like, Tories, aha, they're so shite, aren't they? Yay! Like that. Lazy material is everything that's on the TV right now. Go online, say something about the Tories, say a few things about Catholic priests nonsense on children, but never ever mention anything about the sexuality of those priests.
Yeah, and by the way... Catholic priest jokes are also boring in my opinion. Right now, they are just so overused. You had so much of them. Damn, boy. Like, really make some Muslim or Jew jokes. Like, honestly, for fuck's sake. I mean, just the absurder the actually better it is, because while Catholic priest jokes are partially true. Just gonna... F this one, okay.
But do all that stuff, and apparently that's not lazy. All the same jokes that have been made 100 times before. Right, like, everybody fucking does it. It's lazy. Like, Joe, I'd like you. I do think you're a talented comedian, but, like, see all the jokes that you make? I've heard them before. They're just worded differently. Tories are bad. Ah ha ha, Christians. Am I right, guys? Like, that's lazy. Because it's what everybody else is doing. You need to be clever to be racist and get away with it, right? You need to be smart. You need to...
I just love this guy. You have to be clever. I love this guy. Oh, F me. Oh, shit, I'm good.
Plan ahead of them. You need to outsmart smart people.
Yeah, basically.
It's a lot... It's harder work, Joe, is what I'm saying. It's made it a better industry and a more inclusive and interesting industry. No, it's not.
Nah.
I mean, it's not interesting because all the jokes are the same because there's so many things that you're just not allowed to joke about. So it's like, oh, here, all of our jokes are about these 6 things. These are the 6 safe things that we're allowed to joke. No, it hasn't. It's made it worse. It's made it worse. Honestly, it has. The off-screen interviewer then asked whether audiences were on board with this. Some audiences probably feel like they've been left behind, Lycett admitted. Yeah, a lot of people are noping out of comedy because it's like, they're going there, oh, Tory's bad? Oh, I've heard this. In fact, this is what the last 3 guys that came on to talked about, yeah. They used to enjoy the sort of stuff that might have happened in the past, and nobody's really doing that anymore, and their views aren't represented. I mean, there are those of us, we're doing it, we fucking sell out all the time because there is a massive demand for it. Unfortunately, a lot of the comedy clubs are owned by fucking left-wing nutters, right? So we can't, or even if we do manage to get a venue, a lot of people threaten the venues into cancelling our shit. Right, so yeah, there is demand. People do want it, but it'd be nice to be able to do it. But unfortunately, you lot have fucking priced us out of the market. You just have to look around a bit more. If you're looking for racist stuff, you can find it. Don't you worry. I love how that's what he immediately goes for. Oh, if you want racist jokes, yeah. Because that's the only thing that's been banned, isn't it, Joe? I mean, of course, you wouldn't know. He's privileged, like, London metropolitan elite comedian. No clue whatsoever about the struggles of the normal working man. He's no fucking idea. Right. He's basically a guy educating you about a country that he's never fucking been to. Right. He doesn't understand the regular working man. So, the working man was, racist. He wants racist comedy then. No, that's not it, Joe. But of course, like, being as privileged as you are, you wouldn't fucking know that, would you? Putting aside for one moment the bizarre notion that this interview, hosted as it was by a simpering, giggling journalist laughing at Joe's highly camp vacillations, one thing that I will say, and I will own up to this. One of the reasons that my comedy does really, really well in America is my accent sells it. My accent does. The way that I say things in my Scottish accent, I could just go...
I'm going to be honest, that's... I never thought about it, but yes, it's true,
on stage and go, okay, and Americans would be like, oh, like fucking, and my accent does sell it. Joe... He's a lot like Alan Carr, where his camp voice is what sells it, right? It's what... Basically, if some other guy did the same joke he made, it wouldn't land as well, but the voice and the campiness helps the joke land. And I'm owning up to that myself, Joe. With the Americans, my accent helps. It helps massively with the delivery of jokes. Right, but anyway, has any place in a supposed Bible for lads? I want to start by steel-manning this argument as much as possible. Cancel culture has never been a very exact term, and for what it's worth, I think it's more applicable and more concerning in fields such as academia, where your career prospects should have less to do with some casual remark that you make at a conference or on X than comedy, where being judged by what you say is pretty much baked in. The treatment of Nobel laureate Sir Tim Hunt, who was hounded out of his university over a clumsy joke almost a decade ago, still has the ability to raise my blood temperature by double digits if I dwell on it too long. It actually annoys me far more than the cancellations of comedians like Jerry Sadowitz or Barry Humphries, who at least knew the power of words to offend. By the way, Jerry, you've heard some of you probably came to the shows that I did in Birmingham in Scotland recently. Like, I'm quite... some people in the audience, especially the one that I did in Edinburgh, were not fucking happy, right? I'm a dick. I'm a fucking arsehole on stage. Jerry Sadowitz makes me look like a pussy. Damn. Jerry Sadowitz fucking says some stuff, man. Jesus. Teach me. Despite the periodic outrage over the latest Jimmy Carr gypsy joke, very few British comedians have been fully cancelled for a bad joke because they all censor themselves. All of them. And the problem is they're having to censor themselves is why they're now all telling the same jokes. Right, seriously. Tories bad, Catholic priests, that's it. That's the overwhelming vast majority of comedy.
Sadly, yes.
That's what it is now, and it has been for a good few years. Andrew Lawrence lost a lot of work after some tweets about the England football side during Euro 2020. That was a pure shame. I like Andrew. I've actually done gigs with Andrew as well. I did a gig with Andrew. Very funny comedian. He's very good. Graham Linehan lost virtually all of his professional opportunities and connections over his commitment to challenging gender ideology, which, as many of you will have noticed, there are some U-turns on that happening. Big fucking U-turns. Jesus Christ. Was
Finally,
expelled,
by the way.
Daniel
Finally.
O'Reilly, a.k.a. Dapper Laughs, who I've also fucking performed with, was expelled from TV for repeating a heckle about rape from an audience member. I regard these outcomes as deeply regrettable, certainly, but they are merely the tip of a much more troubling submerged iceberg. What now goes smothered and unsaid on stage as a result of cancel culture is a far bigger worry, because a lot of people don't really know what's not being said because you can't read people's minds. Like, people are going to go on stage and they might have had a fucking banger set that they could have created, an absolutely astounding, basically their special level fucking comedy set that they could have done, but you'll never fucking hear it, because if they ever did it, that's their career over.
Yeah,
right.
Sadly.
It could have been good. It could have been fucking funny. But see how just like right wingers back in the 90s were like Christian jokes, brr, like fucking. Now it's like jokes about immigrants and fucking trans people, brr, and everything. Basically, you're the new censors, right? You're the new age boomers. right? You're the one. By the way, see how the next generation that are coming up, you're going to be the cringy bastards that everybody rebels against. Shut up, old man.
True. It's just a matter of time. It will happen at some point. You get older, the new generation comes out, they will rebel against you. It is what it is, just like you did, and it's just like you. I don't mean specifically you hearing this, but the next generation will just get the same treatment than we do. And this generation is just freaking tyrannical, so I hope they get a really, really good Clash back. And I mean a really good Clash, like really good.
Shut up, old man. I'll joke about whatever I want. You're such a square. You're such a loser. You just don't get it. Fucking boomer. It's going to happen one day. I'm calling it. If all that has happened, as Joe seems to be suggesting, is that comics now pause to wonder whether a joke is needlessly cruel towards a vulnerable group, well, would that necessarily be such a bad thing? Yes, I still think it would be, although of course it's much worse than that. I make fucking horrible mean jokes on stage, but people laugh at them because they know I don't really mean them. Like, that's the point. On comedy, you're on stage doing an act. Right, it's not a sermon. So this is the problem. I go on stage and I say things that I don't mean, because there was lots of other comedians that did that, right? Especially people like Frankie Boyle and Jim Jeffries, who were actually some of my biggest fucking inspirations for how offensive they fucking were. You know, the big lad that goes on stage and just says horrendous shit, and if people get annoyed, they just go, ah, fuck you, and walk off, right? That's funny to me. However, we all know what happened to the both of them, don't we? Pardon. But anyway, how precisely cancel culture works to stifle comedy is complex. Yes, paying attention to evolving social norms is required if you want to succeed in stand-up, and always has been. I mean, for me, no, not really. Like, I went up, like, one of my biggest bits is I went up and said, fuck Israel and Palestine. And that, woo! I like that because it made a lot of people in the room really angry. I can't believe you didn't pick my team. Oh, like, people were fucking angry about that shit. And this was the thing that was funny, is even though I still do that bit, and even though that bit doesn't get a lot of laughs, how uncomfortable it makes everyone in the audience makes me feel giddy inside, and that's why I still do it. That's why I still do that whole bit. And everyone's like, oh, not a lot of laughs at that one, and I'm like, there was in here. I don't know what it is. See, making people uncomfortable, it's so immature and it's so shit, but that making the audience feel like that, I find it funny. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry, I can't explain it. Cancel culture introduces a hypothetical offended third party into the equation. It leads to a lot of second guessing. Comedy is live ammunition. On that, Joe and I can probably agree, and risks are taken when using it. That's what makes it fun. Some jokes are purely at one's own expense, and some at the expense of the powerful and well protected, like the government. Bill Gates, cheese. I don't get that. But there are many good jokes that invite you to generalise a bit for them to do work. That can become a bushfire, no doubt. Bill Burr has some fantastic routines about his girlfriend that are specifically about her. But they also invite you to regard all women... Is it not his wife now? I think they're married, I don't know, don't quote me on that. But they also invite you to regard all women as irredeemably stupid, all relationships as lies and doomed, and all the dice loaded against men. Fact. One hopes that most of his audience are able to detach these propositions from the jokes in due course, but his walking of this tightrope is what makes him, for me, perhaps the most exciting live stand-up of the past 10 years. I do love Bill Burr. Bill Burr is very good. I think he's a great comedian. The license Burr takes does...
Yes, Bill Burr is freaking... a legend. A freaking legend. And he doesn't give a fuck, by the way, about your feelings. That's one of the things that makes him especially good, in my opinion.
Does not come from nowhere. It comes from a tradition that he insists upon, but that is in danger of being lost. That the stage itself is a space licensed for offence, which is true. The term safe space is often rightly mocked, but I don't think live comedy should be a space where the performer is safe. not a space where the audience is safe from hearing the inconvenient, abrasive, disobliging truth. It should be it should be a space safe to express oneself honestly or even dishonestly without fear of censure. To take a boot or even a bread roll, sure, but not to get home to find out that your family is in hiding. A safe space in which to try and fail. Yeah, absolutely. By the way, see when we say cancel culture and all that stuff, that doesn't mean, oh, when we go on stage, whatever joke we tell, you have to fucking like it, right? No, Jesus Christ, never make things like that. I've done it myself.
Yeah.
I've never bombed. I've not bombed yet. It will happen one day. I will bomb. It happens to everyone. I haven't bombed yet, but I've told jokes that didn't land, right? And then I tried them the next night. Still didn't land. Alright, that's a bad joke. Back to the drawing board. I'll just remove that one. The ones that really don't make sense, by the way, is where you tell a joke one night and it doesn't land, and then you tell it the next night and fucking boom, everybody laughs at it. That's never made fucking sense to me. I delivered the joke the exact same way. Why? But anyway, fucking that messes with me. However, when you go on stage and you make jokes, people are allowed to tell you or go home and tweet, oh, he was shit, didn't like his comedy, thought he was pish, this joke wasn't that funny, blah, blah, blah. People are critiquing, people are using their speech to define your show. Maybe that'll make people not like you, maybe that'll make people want to check you out, blah, blah, blah. All of that's fine, right? When you go on stage, you're trying to win the audience over. They owe you nothing, by the way. They don't owe you a laugh, they don't owe you a smile, they don't owe you a clap, they don't owe you a cheer. It's your job to earn that from them. And if they decide that you've earned it, well, then there you go. There's your little bit of self-aggrandizing and praise that you like to validate your own existence, right? There you are, right? However, that doesn't mean that the audience can then turn around and go, fucking skin this man alive, get him fired from his job, blow up the university he went to, like that type of stuff, right? So you can't have that either. Stand-up comedy should be the opposite of Chinese Cultural Revolution struggle sessions. It should not be there to reinforce the views of the regime. Absolutely. It should be the purest snub to what C.S. Lewis branded the omnipotent moral busybodies and the tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of its victims. It should be the unwanted erection at the funeral. What? Jesus. The giggles that get you expelled, not the reassured laugh of affirmation that gets you the pat on the back. Yeah, because a lot of modern stand-up comedy feels like sermons more than anything else. A lot of it is comedians that are like, I actually really like immigrants, guys, and then the crowd's like, woo, yeah, and he's like, yeah, and then he goes off on some other tangent, and it's like, I thought you were building up to a joke there, pal. Alright, okay then, thanks for that. Fucking shit. To do this, stand-up needs to be a different kind of safe space. Safe for creativity purposes to try out, to philosophise with a hammer, to discover what one thinks by thinking aloud, and that bit goes for the audience too. Before they have had a chance to run it past their own internal minister for wrongthink, they should also be able to relish the implicit threat that we are handling volatile materials, that there might be an actual explosion any minute. Comedy is chemistry, not physics or biology, and the teacher has got his goggles on. I don't think many of us are mourning the past that Joe Lycett seems to hint at, of racist jokes, jokes about gay people, jokes that say rude words for effect. I don't do the rude words for effect, but I do make racist jokes and I do make jokes about gay people. And people love it, because there's a demand for it. People still like that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand it. People think that type of shit just went away. Like, it didn't. There's still huge demand for it. And the funny thing is the more and more you people scream about it, it becomes this little naughty thing, you know, a little, I'm going to buy a few tickets to that boy's show, but I'm going to wear a scarf up to here so that no one can see me. A speakeasy, almost, but for racist comedy. But to be honest, thank you very much for still complaining about all the fucking racism and all that shit and making it verboten, because a bit like drugs, it kind of makes people intrigued and makes them want to do it. So, thanks very much.
He's correct about that, yeah. It actually has the opposite effect. It becomes like something hidden and desired. It's just so true. Yeah, come on.
Where was it? Yeah, he's right, you can still find them. Sophie Duker is a good place to start, but they are likely all a bit stale now, apart from anything else. What we are really worried about is the possibility that Chris Rock's most famous routine would now be considered, on balance, a little bit, well, you know, I think I know. I think I know the one he's talking about, but anyway, no, never. I might be on the losing side for now, but the pendulum will swing back again. Until it does, if you want my microphone, you can pry it from my cold dead hands. Simon Evans. Right, there we are. Do I know Simon? I might know Simon. I don't think I know Simon. But anyway, Joe Lycett actually had the cops called on him on stage. Did you know that? Because of a joke he told. And he's sitting there going, oh, but nothing happened to me. Cancel culture's not real. That's because you're Joe Lycett, you know, fucking, you're on the TV and all the panel shows and everything like that all the time. And obviously you're a little privileged elite boy. And everyone, I grew up a little sharp. Right, just sharp. Right, but anyway. Obviously, nothing happened to him when someone called the cops on him because he is Joe Lycett. If you are big enough...
Yes, if you are big enough, you won't fall. If you're big enough, you can actually afford way more than a normal human being, and it's just a fact.
The police won't do anything. However, if you're a little small guy, you might be a little open mic night guy, nobody knows your fucking name, this could be like your third time ever being on stage, and if someone did that to you, oh yeah, the cops will absolutely grab you. Especially because in the police's own hate crime operational guidance handbook, they say that it doesn't matter even if you did in fact commit a crime, what matters is the victim's perception of what you did. Right? So basically, oh yeah, Joe's not worried about cancel culture because Joe's fine. Joe's made his fucking millions, and he does all the same fucking regurgitated crap that every other comedian has done for the last few fucking decades. He's safe. He knows he's safe. Cancel culture's not that bad. Working class people just want racism. And everyone, of course he thinks that. He's been raised in, like, London's metropolitan fucking elite privileged arsehole bullshit. Silver spoon. Might not have been born with it, but he fucking earned it, and he fucking rammed that way fucking up there. Right? And that thing's in there to stay. Right? So basically, Joe, I do think you're a very, very talented comedian. A lot of your stuff is stuff that has just been done before, because, but I get it. You're very, very limited in what you're able to explore in your art form. You've chosen to censor yourself, but act like, oh no, this is what I really wanted to do in the first place. I get it, right? You're making a lot of money right now, so yeah, of course you would play it safe. Of course you absolutely would. However, I will also say as well that you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Vast majority.
Yeah, he's correct about that. But as it is, acolytes, just think about it. It's a bit, yeah, it's a sad state right now. But we're gonna go out of it. Like, I think we're going in the right direction. So, good night, acolytes.